We're back to Neil Haley show, and as the country looks ahead to its 250th anniversary, I cannot believe it. Its history, and we're already so close now, is often told through major events and well-known figures. But what about the unsung heroes and everyday people who shaped the country? As part of its year-long The Stories of a U.S. campaign, Ancestry is spotlighting these often overlooked individuals and empowering people to discover their own personal ties to the history of the United States. Here to share some of these compelling stories and offer guidance on how you can explore your own family connections to America's past is Ancestry's senior story producer and professional genealogist, Nicka Sewell-Smith. Welcome, Nicka. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And what inspired Ancestry's The Stories of U.S. campaign of
So this
us? Yeah.
campaign,
Mhm. Yeah.
the Stories of Us campaign is near and dear to our hearts because we really wanted to lean into celebrating the semi-quincentennial of the United States. And what better way than to do that than to bring forth the stories of everyday Americans who helped shape the nation, whether they are notable ones or people who are less notable. Regardless, they helped shape the fabric of what makes our country as amazing as it is today.
We need to know our history, every type of history, because we don't want to make the same mistakes again. But we also want to know who are our ancestors, how they were able to get to where we are today in this great nation. And I think that that's the power of stories.
Yeah, I think most folks think that they have to have a really famous person that they're related to. In fact, that's a lot of the time that's how most people come to genealogy and family history is because they're trying to substantiate a family story or tale that they're connected back to a notable person. I remember for my family, it was stories around Will Rogers and our family being connected to him in some way because of where our family was from in Oklahoma. And so when I began my journey, that's Rogers is a family surname. So at least I had that part right. But oftentimes people will sort of run towards chasing the connection to the famous person as opposed to, you know what, let me lean in and really dig into the known family that I have and their unique stories. And it may be that, you have a great grandparent that was a farmer. And, just imagine if we were farming nowadays, like what that requires and what it entails. Sometimes we often minimize the role of those folks in history and as well as in our own personal family histories. And it could even be, someone notable. Maybe you're the notable person, first notable person in your family. And maybe you need to be more deliberate about documenting your own story in your own words. So it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who lived long ago or who was famous. It may even be a call to folks who are living now to make sure that they are mindful about documenting their stories and their words.
And I think that's so important. Thank goodness I have a radio show podcast where I've been telling stories for 15 plus years that hopefully won't disappear. Hopefully they'll stay on the World Wide Web forever. Because that's the real cool thing is I get to tell other people's stories and then tell some of my story. And I think that's so important. And I think that everyone has a story. This is the point. You might find an ancestor that's such a great story. You might want to write about that story after you see that type of thing. That's what's so cool about what you guys do. Can you share an example of an unsung hero you've uncovered from our local community?
Right. So Frederick McKinley Jones was a pioneer in blood and plasma and was the first Black American to get the National Medal of Technology. And so he's one of scores of folks. The team that I work on at Ancestry, we had the immense just honor of being able to research in all 50 states, trying to find unique stories, notable and maybe not as notable, that connect back to the semi-quincentennial and are on our website I'm sorry, and are on our website at ancestry.com/stories of us.
Oh, wow. I mean, again, I love what you guys do. I think it's so, so important to tell these stories. And if we're not telling these stories, then we're missing out because I think that everyone thinks, okay, especially our young people today, they have to look at these things and the amazing stories of older people. I mean, I'm in my 50s, but I know how many stories I can tell young people already that have happened in my life. And we forget how important these stories are. But it's great to say that you could find people that are alive now that you're going to say, oh gosh, I didn't know about that. I really didn't know that I have a someone that I'm related to. So you have those stories, right? Where somebody finds somebody that didn't even a distant relative that's still living that has a story. Wow.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's also the power of Ancestry. It's in this, 70 plus billion records. It's in the 30 million plus folks who have taken our DNA test. It's the fact that you could be researching a family and thinking that you're just researching this family and no one else knows who they are. And then when you jump into the site and you start utilizing the different aspects of it, you find other people who are researching the same people. And it just really reminds you just how small the world is. And in fact, how you could just be walking around family and have no idea that the people are there. So, I've had some incredible experiences with that. I've had cousins of mine that I did not know. One who was looking for a photo of her grandmother. The only thing she had was just a profile, just the side of her face. And she's really wanted a picture of her and just, straight on. And I had a photo of her grandmother, her great grandmother, my great grandmother were in a picture together. And I scanned it and I uploaded it and I tagged the great grandmas, and that's how she found the picture. And it was so funny. She was, spending so much time
Well,
trying to find a picture of the great grandmother. She didn't realize she looked just like her.
you
So
know
all she
what's
did was
yeah.
look in the mirror.
You know what's really interesting is that we don't know much about Ancestry. We know of the company. We don't know how much it's evolved since it first started. Kind of give us
Yes.
some of those aspects once you sign up
Yeah,
with Ancestry.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm constantly reminding people about is even if you came to us, 5 years ago, maybe even last year, what you searched for on the site last time you were there may not be what you get this time because we're constantly adding records all the time. So we've got the family history side of the site, which is the historical records, 70 billion plus records that are there from all across the world, 80 plus countries. That's where you can build your family tree out. You can use the hints to get back as far as you possibly can. And then there's also the DNA aspect of the site where you can join more than 30 million folks who've already DNA tested, where you get the different percentages of regions from across the world and other features like DNA journeys, which is one of my favorites, where we can actually literally tell you where your family was within the last 200 years without a family tree. And there's
Wow.
also other things there
Yeah.
like and all that other stuff. But that's the basic gist. And we're constantly adding things, we're constantly building things out. And so again, what you may have come to us a while ago, I definitely would suggest maybe coming back because there's always something new for you.
You know what else it sounds like to me was part of this is with the evolution of AI, how much more data you guys probably are able to build out. It's got to be crazy and
Yeah, well,
fun.
and that's a great point. So, the 1950 census in the United States is the most recent one that we have as a result of just, privacy restrictions. And that census was the first one that we ever did where we used handwriting recognition to index the entire census. So, if you can think about when 1940 came out, it was taking the time to like hand index, like literally type in all the names of everyone that was on the census. That's what we did with that one. In 1950, we used handwriting recognition. So in 10 years, that's how big of a span of time took place. And even now on the site, there are incredible features. Like if you upload a scanned handwritten document, you can click a button and it will transcribe it into text for you. There's even
Wow.
storytelling that can be done with the use of some of our AI technology. So again, if you haven't come to see us, why
Yeah.
haven't you
Yeah.
come to visit? You should probably come to visit because there's a
I
lot
think
of
it's
stuff that's
definitely
there.
so. A question about the campaign. What else has Ancestry done for the anniversary through the campaign?
So it's been so much fun to see this roll out. In January, we started the campaign in New York. We celebrated the first Black officer for the Fire Department of New York, Wesley Williams, and we brought his descendants together with a family that their ancestor was in a fire. Their grandmother and their parents were in this fire, and they survived, and he was able to rescue them. So we brought them together and with a like an anniversary or celebration, and they had never met before. And we also commemorated a mural to mark the moment. So that was in New York. And then in March for Women's Women's History Month, I was a part of a tour where we honored notable women in the city of Chicago. I was there with a Chicago historian named Sherman Dilla Thompson, and we took folks around. We honored individuals like Ada Sophia McKinley, who was an incredible person there in the social service space. And then in May, we actually honored Small Business Month with a partnership with the Original Farmers Market in Los Angeles, where we worked with family businesses, generational businesses that have been there for years, illuminating their stories as well. So it's been an incredible campaign thus far.
All right. Well, fantastic. Where can people find information and get to Ancestry as quickly as possible? Go ahead.
Sure. So to see what we've come up with in terms of notables and maybe unsung heroes, please visit ancestry.com/stories of us and maybe also include your own family story to be a part of this commemoration.
Thanks, Nicka. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.